Hello and welcome in another lesson of English language grade 5. The topic that we are going to cover today is grammar. More specifically, we are going to see the past simple tense of the verb to be. Before starting with the verb in the past, we are going to revise a few sentences in the present. Present simple, it is used to talk about facts, general truths, and timetables. We have the sentences. I am 9 years old. The parrot's name isn't Mr. Spot, and are Helen and Susan at school? In this case, we had three forms of the verb to be in the present simple tense, in affirmative, negative, and interrogative form. But let's see how can we make these sentences in the past simple tense. The past simple tense is used to talk about a finished action in the past. So, we're going to see last year I was 9 years old is the sentence. It was I am 9 years old. It becomes last year I was 9 years old. Just I was 9 years old. The parrot's name isn't Mr. Spot. The parrot's name wasn't Mr. Spot. So isn't becomes wasn't. The last one, are Helen and Susan at school, becomes were Helen and Susan at school? In this case, we transform successfully three sentences from present simple to past simple. Let's continue. We're going to see the affirmative form of the verb to be both in present and in past simple tense. Let's see these simple sentences. I am happy. You are at school. He is hungry. She is a nurse. It is big. Be careful, it is always used with things and with animals. This was the affirmative form in singular. Let's see how can we make the same sentences in past simple. I was happy. He was hungry. She was a nurse. And it was big. I think that you have already seen that there is a pattern, a model. So, the verb am and is becomes was in this case. This is for the singular form. Now let's continue with the plural form. We are early. You are students. And they are quiet. These are some other simple sentences in present simple tense in plural form. Let's see them in the past simple tense. We were early. You were at school. And they were quiet. So, as you can see, there is a pattern here as well. The verb are becomes were. Be careful. You for the singular and the plural form is the same. So, it becomes were. And also, be careful with the pronunciation. We say you were early. Or they were tired and not were, because if we say where, we might get confused because where is a question word. We have the sentence, where were you yesterday? If we say where were you yesterday, we cannot understand which is the question word and which is the verb. If we say, where were you yesterday? We understand which is the question word and which is the verb correctly. Now we are going to continue with the negative form of the verb to be, both in present simple and in past simple, in order to revise and to learn something new. So, in order to make the negative of the verb to be in present simple, we put not after the verb. I am not sad. You aren't at home. He isn't thirsty. She isn't a pilot. And the last one, it isn't small. Be careful. You cannot contract the verb and not for the first person singular. It is a mistake. We can contract only the verb are with not and is with not. So, for all the other subjects, we can contract the verb and the negative particle. So, isn't is not, and aren't is are not. Let's see the other half of the verb in the past simple tense. Negative, I wasn't sad. He wasn't thirsty. She wasn't a teacher. And the last one, it wasn't small. So, as you can see, in this case, we form the negative form of the verb to be in past simple with was plus the negative particle not. And we contract them by using wasn't. When we merge these words together, we take the O and we put the apostrophe. This is a great tip in order to remember how to write correctly the short form of wasn't, the contraction. Let's continue again with the plural form of the verb to be. In present simple, we aren't late. You aren't teachers. And the last one, they aren't noisy. So these were the three plural forms of the verb to be in present simple. Now we're going to see how we can make them in past simple tense. We weren't late. You weren't at home. And the last one, they weren't noisy. So the contraction, the short form for were not is weren't again. Now we're going to continue with the last form, which is the interrogative sentences for present and past simple of the verb to be. I wanted to present you both with present and past simple because sometimes it is difficult to remember, but when we have them side by side, it's easier to learn the verbs. So I am again becomes I was. You are becomes you were, etc. Now let's see the interrogative sentences in present and past simple. The questions. Don't forget, in simple present, they are happy. The verb comes at the front of the sentence. Are they happy? So we change the position of the subject and the verb. They are happy. Are they happy? Then, she is rich. Is she rich? When we want to make a question in past simple tense, we follow the same steps. We put the verb before the subject pronouns. So, they were happy is the positive sentence. Becomes, were they happy? And she was rich becomes, was she rich? So, in this case, we successfully changed the sentence from positive to interrogative by changing the places, both in present simple and in past simple tense. So, once again, we change the past simple of the verb to be very easily by learning this verb by heart, because we cannot form it like we do with all the other verbs in past simple tense. Now that we have finished, we are going to do a simple exercise in order to see how much we understood from this topic. But before doing this exercise, I want you to also revise the time expressions in the past, because they are also very important. Yesterday is a time expression related with the past. Yesterday I was at the zoo. So you talk about a finished action. Tom and Susan weren't at the party. Tom and Susan weren't at the party. Was it cold yesterday? So all these three sentences are finished in the past. Another time expression is last plus month, week, Monday or year. So you can add a noun. Last month I was at the zoo. So it is a further past. Tom and Susan weren't at the party last week. And the last sentence, was it cold last Monday? And the final time expression which we use with the past is ago. But in this case, it goes at the end of the word. A month, a week, a year ago. I was at the zoo a week ago. Tom and Susan weren't at the party a week ago. And was it cold a week ago? Now that we are finished, we are going to continue with the exercise as I mentioned. It is time to do a simple exercise. I invite you to watch the picture for a few seconds. We are going to describe it in the present simple tense, because later we are going to transform the same sentences in past simple tense. We are going to call the little boy Tom. Now it is time to read the sentences related with the picture. Today Tom is at the zoo. It isn't cloudy, but sunny. Tom is together with his dad and his mom. They are all watching the animals. Is Tom happy? Yes, he is. So with these short, simple sentences, we made the description of the picture. Now we are going to continue with the exercise. Now I want you to take a few seconds and watch the sentences. I want you to put the verbs in the correct form of the past simple tense. So, be careful, remember, am becomes was and are becomes were. Is as well becomes was. So, yesterday Tom at the zoo. Think about it. It cloudy but sunny. Tom together with his dad and his mom. They all watching the animals. Tom happy? Yes, he. So, take a few seconds in order to guess the right form of the verb to be in the past simple, and then we're going to check them together. Okay, time is up. Now, let's continue. So, yesterday Tom was at the zoo. Why was and not were? Because Tom is the third person singular, he. The second, it wasn't cloudy, but sunny. Be careful. You might say, why should we use wasn't and not was? We use wasn't because we have but in this case. Then, Tom was together with his dad and his mom. It is still the third person singular. They were all watching the animals. Remember, the third person plural becomes were. And lastly, was Tom happy? Yes, he was. This is the last part of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching English lessons, and I wish you luck with your English.